In addition, yesterday we achieved a total reset with China. We're charging them, as you know, 20% for the fact that they send fentanyl into our country, and they've agreed that they're going to stop that. And they'll be rewarded by not having to pay hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs. So the fentanyl should stop. It comes from China. It's amazing. And comes through our southern border, comes through our northern border too, comes through Canada, and comes through our southern border, much more through the southern border.
So last time I was on, which the timing was very fortuitous, I was on April 23rd, and I talked about how through April 22nd, despite lower ETF inflows than gold, Bitcoin had outperformed since the announcement of the tariffs. Well, literally the moment I walked off set,
right.
Bitcoin ETF flows exploded. So first of all, congratulations on having a very powerful platform. 5.5 billion roughly and counting since then, dwarfing gold. And we talked about the three reasons why: no longer trading as a tech bundle, in the tech bundle, inflation hedge, and this sort of catch up to gold type trade. Now, with this sort of onslaught of ETF flows, we have a fourth characteristic, which is just scarcity. Bitcoin miners cannot produce Bitcoin as fast as this overwhelming demand. So I don't think it's appropriate to view it as a tech stock in the tech bundle. Whether you view it as a commodity like gold is somewhat subjective. I like to look at it that way. Some others don't. But I think it's a good framework to think about, specifically relative to the gold trade.
And one of the things we're looking at right now is a whole bunch of ETFs. How should we think about? I mean, I know what your business is, but by the way, you actually now interact with a lot of the guys who are holding some of these ETFs, so that matters to you too.
Sure, we are the custodian for the majority of these ETFs. So when you buy an ETF,
right,
and
they're effectively
Bitcoin, it's held with us.
You're holding it.
Ultimately, what we see is the evolution of Bitcoin from being sort of a tech asset tied to the Mag 7 or tied to the NASDAQ to something that's more akin to digital gold. And as that starts to happen, and I predict that will happen as wallets expand. Let's say there's roughly 300 million or so wallets for Bitcoin right now. Imagine a world where there's a billion wallets, billion holders. The volatility should dampen. That happened in Microsoft. That happened in things like Google over a 20-year period of time. And so you could see a scenario where more wallets, lots of institutions in the mix, long-term holders, dampening volatility, and then you have this positive flywheel where the volatility is dampened by long-term holders who are owning it in size, and so therefore that reinforces the idea that other long-term holders should come in. I guess the big thing you have to ask yourself, is Bitcoin an investment or is it an asset class? If it's an investment, then $1 to $3 trillion, that sort of makes sense. That's akin to a Mag 7 market capitalization. But if it's an asset class, then it should trade to closer to where gold is, and I think gold's, $22, $23 trillion right now. A financial leadership, financial services leadership. But I think the other thing stablecoins do, just a reminder to people, whether it's Circle or Tether, they own a ton of U.S. Treasuries. I think Tether now owns more U.S. Treasuries than Germany and Japan, and I think we want to have this legislation provide great clarity, regulatory specificity, so that we've got a lot of players in the mix. Eventually, banks can get into the mix, and eventually I could hold my Bitcoin at a bank. As it relates to the Trump family, I guess what I would say, my message to the Trump family would be, be transparent. If you're not doing anything wrong, I'll accept on faith that you're not doing anything wrong, but be transparent, because we're in a partisan tribal environment and you got to let people know exactly what you're doing. Otherwise, people are going to assume the worst.
Start with the news we just heard today. Your Bitcoin holding company, Nakamoto, merging with healthcare services brand Kindly MD to create a Bitcoin treasury strategy. Tell me about why you chose Kindly MD for this merger and what it means for Nakamoto, which only just launched.
Well, first off, thank you for having me on. And the partnership with Kindly MD made a lot of sense for several reasons. First off, we were able to find a great management team that shared our vision and alignment for the Bitcoin treasury strategy. And we wanted to get access to the best capital market in the world, which is right here in the United States, the NASDAQ. So the vehicle made sense and the team made sense, and I think it's going to be a transformational partnership. I think first and foremost, Bitcoin is having a mainstream moment right now. It is truly becoming a mainstream asset in the capital markets. And, I want to say thank you to Michael Saylor for pioneering that effort, but we are wanting to take it to the next level. So, we flattery is the best form of compliment. So we are MicroStrategy squared. What we are trying to do is build a portfolio of Bitcoin treasury companies in capital markets globally. We want to have one vehicle that investors can buy in every major capital market. So we've already done deals in Japan, Hong Kong, but we're looking at new opportunities in Brazil, in Saudi Arabia, in UAE, in Turkey. If investors are excited about bringing Bitcoin to each of these capital markets and being a gateway for investors, we want to make Nakamoto the mothership where they can get access to these opportunities by being a shareholder of Nakamoto.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you join the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. Also, go like and follow the TikTok. More videos to come. And we have Trump on the China reset. And they are clearly changing the supply chain. But we're going to get into that later. More importantly, again, we heard about this 20% fentanyl tariff. And guys, that means they know they're making a profit. Trump said hundreds of millions. We know they're making hundreds of billions. When countries are broke, what do they turn to? The drums are beating and drugs. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. Now we have Coinbase is going into the S&P 500. Yes, guys, you heard that correct. But the crazy part is last quarter, they only had a $66 million profit. And you're going inside the S&P 500. But what does the Crypto Teacher teach you? That's right, follow the money. And we keep hearing about Bitcoin decoupling, but Bitcoin is still trading with these tech stocks. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. And once we get this stablecoin regulation, these crypto wallets are going to be attached to these bank accounts, and we're going to start to see this space take off. All we need is that stablecoin regulation. And we have stablecoin issuers buying up U.S. treasuries, and why? That keeps the Fed in control of the money supply. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. And we had the Fed and the OCC give approval to the banks that they can engage with crypto. But of course, they want regulation. They want the rules of the road. And like I've told you, crypto is going to take the blame of the legacy market falling. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. And we have the Trump family is pushing this new digital economy and making billions. And like I've said plenty of times before, it would not surprise me if Trump does not finish the full 4 years of being president. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. Now we have the Nakamoto merger with health firm Kindly MD on this Bitcoin treasury. And we know Michael Saylor set out the blueprint. And we're going to see more and more companies going to be doing the same. And we have Scott Besson on China's dual circulation. Other countries are seeing a surplus of China's goods, and we know those goods are going to the emerging markets instead of the United States. And remember when Janet Yellen went over there, she stated that they wanted to start cutting the surplus that was coming inside the United States. Remember, guys, this is a plan. It moves in phases. If the dollar is going to be devalued, that means you're going to be able to buy less with your money. They have to get the people prepared. And again, that's the reason why you keep hearing about financial literacy in America. We've never heard financial literacy so much in my life. And when we look at all the cheap China goods, don't forget, we saw so many mom and pops close and never come back due to Walmart, Home Depot, and Lowe's. And that was due to consumers trying to save money. Now that there's no mom and pops to compete, the big corporations no longer have to discount. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. And we have China's Belt and Road. And guys, it's not talked about enough. The only thing you have to do is look at all those countries that are with China. And then on top of it, we look at BRICS. all the countries that are trying to get off the dollar. And we have the deficit of America at 1 trillion. Yes, guys, you heard that correct. And eventually the party has to end. And we know this is a planned demolition. Devalue the dollar, and then the debt comes down. But they're going to bring in the machine so the productivity doesn't drop, because, of course, you're going to have unemployment. And then they have the tariffs there, so then therefore they can bring in this universal basic income. Remember, they did all the tests during the C word. As long as people are able to sit at home and get free money, they're fine. And we know the metaverse is going to entertain them. They can be able to travel the world from their couch. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And we have charging up in China, 143,000 charging stations just in the capital. And it's only about 22 million of population there. And we know the emerging markets have a head start on this fourth industrial revolution. And when it comes to the United States, majority of the population has no clue of the digital economy, digital assets, anything that has anything to do with the fourth industrial revolution. They are clueless. But we know the robots, algorithms, and drones are about to take over this economy, and the sheep are going inside the metaverse. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. But that's all I have for you. Don't forget about the books.
Chinese have an economic plan called dual circulation. And with dual circulation, our goal is to make sure dual circulation means export and domestic use. Dual circulation cannot mean that China overproduces and that only Chinese goods are consumed in China and then they export the excess to the rest of the world. So we have had the equivalent, because of these high tariff rates, of an embargo on China, and those goods are going to leak to the rest of the world. So, our negotiations, we don't need to tell other countries what they need to do. They are seeing this wave of Chinese goods coming to their shore. They have to find a home, and that could be at a discount price, undercutting local producers.
When we hear about any country or any groups of country talking about isolating China, do you know what's the response? We chuckle. Because from my perspective, it's a mission impossible. You dare to isolate China? You're talking about kind of isolating the world in a sense. China is the largest trading partner in the world. And you want to isolate China? You want to really break up all these economic relations? It's a fantasy. Never try that, because otherwise you'll end up in great failure.
Hey, Kelly, the U.S. Treasury is saying that the deficit is up to $1 trillion in April, that is. That's up 23% fiscal year to date, but it was a good month. The surplus was up $258 billion in the month of April. That is a surplus, and that's 23% better than a year ago. Still, the overall fiscal year to date is deficit. Big news here, the tariff revenue rising to $16 billion. I calculate that's almost $200 billion at an annual rate. And it looks to be the highest we've ever seen. We're waiting for confirmation from Treasury, but my data shows that this number on tariff revenue of $16 billion is a single month record, almost double the prior month record of $9.1 billion. Again, waiting for confirmation from Treasury.
I'd love everybody's opinion on this. Does the deficit is so large? It's so much worse than it used to be. I've seen projections. Who was this from? Zizas at Morgan Stanley, that the deficit's going to be 7%. Because of the Trump tax cuts and so forth. Does it even matter? I mean, what would the level of the 10-year be if we had a 3% deficit? Do you think it would be significantly lower, or is it even about that? I can't figure it out.
Well, let me give you just a very small touch of history, which is that I had for many years contended that people were way too excited about the deficit level and that the capacity of the U.S. to borrow was quite a bit higher. When we approached and neared the 80 to 90 to 100% range, and I guess we're above that now, percent of GDP, that's when my concern rose. And it rose because we were running those high deficits at a time when the economy was expanding. And I was concerned about And I remain concerned about our ability to help the economy through federal spending in a downturn. So that's where it matters to me. I do not doubt the ability of the government to fund itself, if that's your primary concern. But that's like saying, how concerned are you about Armageddon?
Right,
At the margin, it matters, and it matters how much we spend on our interest. That matters because that means we have to make poor choices elsewhere for otherwise helping people or investing in the economy.
Do we, though? I guess that's my point. It feels like at this point you can have your cake and eat it too. You can have high interest costs, you can have high Medicaid costs, you can have high everything, you can have 7% deficits, and the stock market's up to basically all-time highs again, and it just doesn't seem to matter except maybe for bond yields.
Kelly, we can have us a high time if we want, but and ask Brian about that reference if you like, but. The issue there is that it does preclude other things. There's an opportunity cost to all this. Yeah, we can do it, and it's gonna be expensive. When we start spending the kind of money we're spending on interest, it's time to have to get control of it. And I'll also say, we don't actually have to get control of it as much as we probably have to show the market that we have control of it.
Taking this Buick Electra E5 EV out on the streets of Beijing to show you how easy it is to charge up in China. I'm heading to the office and the car has been charged overnight.
Wherever you drive your EV, you're never very far from a charging station. There are 143,000 public charging points in the Chinese capital alone.
Going to a different economy. And we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we can have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting it more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and you know, when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get on stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing they were still getting that free money, what are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Drama Team save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Drama Team save New York from COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Drama Team goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.